Welcome to the first of our Spooktober Scary Ways That Our Brains Hijack Us series of videos. Today we are looking at one specific type of thinking process that we can get into that sometimes we don't even think of being a bias that we have, but that can really cause us to both undervalue other people and overvalue ourselves. So this bias is particularly overvaluing the way that we work versus the way that other people work. So it's looking at and making assumptions about other people and the way that they approach work, comparing it to the way that we work and assuming that the way that we work is always best. Now, I see this very often in discussions around introversion and extroversion. Now, as you might be able to guess, I am an extrovert. And in my type of job, you would assume that being an extrovert is necessary. But I have actually worked with some phenomenal trainers and public speakers who are introverts. They manage to figure out how to make it work for them, and they bring the best of themselves to their training sessions, and they're phenomenal. If I always thought that you had to be an extrovert to be a good public speaker, there would be a lot of people in the world that I would discount right away. So that's just one example. Other ways that we do this, looking at people who are digital tech savvy people versus people who are a little more analog and we like paper, and making assumptions about someone's technical ability or their organizational skills because they prefer to use paper versus preferring to use apps or digital types of ways of organizing information. We can also look at this, another example, people who work a lot of overtime and people who don't work overtime, people who plan their day and they leave on time and they don't work late. Now, people who work overtime are going to make assumptions about the people that leave on time and say, well, they're just not as dedicated as I am, and I'm working so much harder than they are. Meanwhile, the people that leave on time may be looking at that overtimer and going, wow, can you not get organized enough to get your work done? Are you taking on too much, or are you just not efficient enough to be able to get done on time so that you can leave when the rest of us leave? So you can see how these types of thinking processes can really cause us to undervalue what other people bring to the table. It can cause a lot of disharmony and conflict when we're in team settings and there are other people in the team that don't work the way that we do. It can also cause a lot of conflict, especially if you are a hiring manager, because you're naturally going to want to hire people more like you. We all want to work with people that are more like us. And the problem is that puts us into an echo chamber where we're only hearing the same approach to a problem over and over and over again. And we're missing out on potentially getting some phenomenal ideas from people who just don't necessarily approach work the same way that we do. So it's a scary thing because it's secret and it hides from us. And we sometimes don't understand that that filter is even there, that we look at other people and say, well, they're not as good at this as I am because I do it this way, and therefore that's the best way to do things. So if you find that you maybe do this in any area of your life, it's a good time to maybe think about, perhaps my way is not always the best way. I know that's scary too, but it's true. It can open us up to learning new ways of doing things when we are willing to look outside of our current status quo. So stay tuned for our next spooktacular video about scary ways that our brains hijack us. Hope you all are having a wonderful week. Bye.